Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Austin Molinaro.
And I'm Chris Kaleko.
And today we are here bringing you a little pregame show of the MSL Championship. It is Prospect against Barrington. Chris, what can we expect between these two teams?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very big offensive battle. You know, people such as Edgy Tim have called the Prospect offense the greatest show on turf. And Austin, I'm wondering what you think will happen with this Barrington offense competing against that. Yeah, looking at these two offenses, in particular with the Barrington offense, they have the most points per game in the MSL West with 35.6, and they also happen to be leading the MSL West and have led the entire season in terms of yards per game. And when we're looking at this star-studded Bronco offense, I want to take one look at Peter Anderson, the only quarterback in the MSL West to have over 1,000 yards and even led all other passers by 400 yards. He also complemented this 1,000-yard season with 11 passing touchdowns through the air. Now, when we look at this backfield, we see Brian Smith, the leading rusher in the MSL West by about 200 yards. Yeah, he was even up for MSL West Player of the Week last week versus Hoffman.
And this offensive line does play a huge role into their game. That's why their rushing has been so lethal throughout the season. And Peter Anderson gets a lot of time to look for open receivers. And that brings us to our next point. Let's talk about those Barrington wide receivers.
Yeah, speaking of that Barrington wide receiver core, let's look at the head of it with senior Joey Gerskis, who is second in the MSL West in terms of receptions, and he's looking like Peter Anderson's favorite target. Yeah, so the Barrington offense faces this Knights defense this week. And Austin, how do you think that the Knights D stacks up against the Broncos' heavy O?
You know, me being the football guru I am, I took it to the tape and I watched the Prospect Knights. They run a 3-5-3 and they love sending the pressure because I don't really think the Prospect coaches really want to depend on their secondary. We see in and out through every game, Prospect is pressuring these quarterbacks, so that's going to be a tough test to handle. And now we're going to summarize this up. Chris, what is your final score prediction for this game? Let the people hear it.
Man, Austin, I think it's going to be a close game. I think that Peter Anderson and this Barrington offense are just going to have that much more than this Prospect D. And so I think I'm going to take Barrington 28-24 over the Prospect Knights.
You know, I will follow along the same pattern as you. I'll try to not let my Barrington bias get in the way. Of course, I'll root for them, but, you know, I'm coming in at an unbiased lens. And, you know, I think the teams are surprisingly going to be in a little bit of a defensive battle in the first half. But you know how Barrington rolls in the third quarter and Prospect, they like to get after it as well. And I think that's when the points start coming in. And I say Barrington beats them just by the edge, 33-31. But, you know, it could go either way. And we'll see you tonight at the game. We're looking forward to it. I'm Austin Molinaro.
And I'm Chris Kaleko.
And we'll see you on the field.